Hey everybody, welcome back. Catacon here. Today we're going to be ranking all the Treyarch perk jingles from worst to best. They will be ranked on relevance to what the perk does, quality of it as a song, and if it makes you want to stay by the perk longer just to hear the jingle. I will be including the Shadows of Evil perks separate from the originals. And remember to put your ranking in the comments below, and that this is my opinion. If you disagree, please tell me why. Without further ado, the list. Starting out with the worst perk jingle, that is Electric Cherry. As a perk, it's great, but its jingle is literally a bunch of creepy noises, which on the only map with an Electric Cherry machine, Mom of the Dead, it kind of fits the tone, but as a jingle, it's not great. I mean, I don't even know if it can be considered a jingle, it's just noises. Coming in at number 17 is Vulturade. Again, it's a great perk normally, but not a great jingle. The jingle is way too slow and doesn't talk about the perk at all, just the machine itself and the lyrics. But being on Buried, the Western style music kind of does work, but even there, though, there's not much to this jingle. Now, probably surprisingly to some of you, number 16 is Quick Revive, the original version. Quick Revive's jingle is good at telling what the perk does, but isn't great at keeping my attention because of how kind of slow it was, and it just doesn't feel like it has too much personality. For that reason, I ranked it at the 16th worst perk. Now, I rated the 15th worst perk jingle is Double Tap, the Shadows of Evil version. The reason I put this so low was because compared to the original, its jingle is just too slow. But I will give it credit that it states clearly what the perk does, although being a Borefest kinda has it blaze. The next perk jingle is Stamina Up. This is because Stamina Up's jingle ironically is very slow and doesn't match the perk. While the lyrics do, I end up not even wanting to listen to it because it starts out so slow. I know this could have been done on purpose as an ironic joke, but I think it just doesn't make sense to me, and I don't really like the flow of the jingle.
Legend tells us of a man, a hero in a tortured land.
Coming up next is the original Mule Kick jingle. This jingle is literally just telling a long story, which I will admit is funny, but it's way too long. I will give it credit that it does describe the perk being that it makes you stronger like a mule at carried items, hence the 3 gun effect, but I just don't think it's good enough to be past number 13.
Your hands are slow. Your movements sluggish. Your lack of speed just brings you anguish.
The 12th perk jingle is the original Speed Cola, which is ranked lower than the new one because of the singing. The singing in the original is a woman whose voice doesn't really match well to me because of it being too slow for something called Speed Cola. For this reason, it's in the number 12 spot.
Cowboys can't shoot slow, or they'll end up below.
The 11th worst perk jingle is the original Double Tap. I rated this up relatively high because of its relevance to the perk effect and the tempo of the song to match it. But because of the new perk jingle states like what it does, but feels like the tempo doesn't match. That's why this is higher than the new perk jingle, because it just states it better and the tempo matches it, I think, a lot better. The 10th worst perk jingle is the Shadows of Evil Mule Kick. I actually quite enjoy this one though, and it clearly states what it does while being a fast and fun perk jingle. There's really not much to say about it. It's a pretty solid jingle, but I think a little lackluster from the ones below the number 10 spot. The 9th worst perk jingle is the original Juggernog. This is because of its kind of slow music, which makes it not up higher on the list, but it's number 9 because of its jingle describing the perk perfectly, while also making it kind of a addictive jingle. Now, that is why this comes at number 9. Number 8, funny enough, is the Shadows of Evil version of Juggernog. I put this higher than the original because of the new, quick, and kind of jazzy tone it's been given. It even kind of switches tone when the guy sings a small part in the jingle. So that is why it is the number 8 spot. The number 7 spot is the Shadows of Evil Quick Revive. This is because of the song having a fun background music with the trumpets in the beginning and having what sounds way more upbeat, which makes sense being that you could just got saved from dying most likely. That's why it is above the original Quick Revive and is in the number 7 spot.
When you're feeling kinda lonely and your spouse is kinda dead.
Now, the number 6 spot is Widow's Wine. Widow's Wine's perk jingle is slow, yet kinda works because of it being a defensive perk. The song's speed makes sense. Although, it did not make the top 5 because of not pertaining to the perk's effect almost at all. It spends the whole song just talking about, well, a lonely widow, which makes it interesting, but not relevant to the perk's effect whatsoever.
Your hands are cold. Your movements lifeless. You want more speed. You're feeling restless.
Now, onto the top 5 perk jingles. Starting off with number 5 is the Shadows of Evil Speed Cola. I really like this one because of the singer. He makes the song into a salsa that makes you want to get up and move, which is why it's Speed Cola should do. It should make you want to get up and move and go fast. That's why it makes sense. Unlike the original, and why this one is higher up than that one. The number 4 spot is given to Deadshot Daiquiri. This is because of the amazingly made rock and roll type song they made. While being a perk jingle that describes what it does, which is improve your aiming, it makes you want to stay and listen to it, which is personally what I do because I love the song they made for this. It's, I think, just plain and simple, it's just so good. And that's why it is the number 4 spot.
I was talking to myself just the other day. I was hearing lots of things I never thought I'd say. But one thing I said really blew my mind.
The number 3 spot, many might disagree with, but it's Who's Who. I know as a perk, it's pretty awful, even though I think it's just because it's on. Die Rise is the reason the perk's awful. You can't get to yourself without a zombie being in your way. But as a jingle, it's really strange, but in that way, I really love it. Because it describes what it does, and which is make another you to pick up yourself. And it is extremely catchy, but I love the weirdness of the perk, and that's why it is number 3.
Rest in pieces, down for the count. No revival, you're bleeding out.
Speaking of extremely catchy, the number 2 spot is Tombstone. This is not just because of how much of a meme the perk is.
Rest in pieces, down for the count. No revival, you're bleeding out.
It is also because it describes what the perk does, it's catchy, and there are many Tombstone song remixes, which are just amazing.
Nighttime sleep. The streets are mean.
Now for my number 1 spot, as you all have just seen, is PhD Flopper. This is because it describes both the effects that the perk has, which is the flop, and the, well, explosive resistance. And has an amazing 80s type disco song, which is just, it's an amazing tone to have on a song, or tempo. Whenever I pick up this perk on a few maps that have a usable machine on it, Die Rise, Mall of the Dead, sorry, I always stay to listen to the rest of the jingle. So there you have it, my ranking of all the Treyarch Zombies perk jingles, from worst to best. If you have a different list, please put it down in the comments below, and I would love to read them. And please hit the like and subscribe button, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.